everybody caught up with how to add loops in Soundtrap. And then we're going to talk about how to create our own loops. So we talked last week about the drum beat and how important the drum beat was. Today we're going to work on adding melodic elements, and specifically we're going to work on adding bass. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. One of the things that I just wanted to point out here is that, so notice at the top how that purple bar is there. So this was something that you guys came in, I think a few people had issues with last week, where if you want it to stop repeating, it just keeps repeating over and over again. That's what loops generally do, is they repeat over and over again. But if you don't want them to, just click on that purple bar and it'll go away, okay? So that's important. So I'm gonna demonstrate this as well because he goes really, really, really fast. But I just wanna point out, this is extremely cool. Basically, you can add any instrument that you want and you can play it yourself. So you can select guitar and bass. You can select drums. You can select brass. So you could, like I said, you could play the trumpet with your computer keyboard. And if you see the way that the keyboard is set up, you have like numbers and letters corresponding to the different keys. So you can literally experiment and then press the record button and record your own loop. So he's gonna show it, but it's gonna be really fast. So I'm gonna show it again afterwards, just so you know. Okay, so the main thing to focus on here is that so first of all, is the way that he's layering sounds and building up to, having this intro and then copying and pasting certain sounds. So noticing how he's doing that. And then the other piece was the creating your own loops with the built-in instrument. So I'm gonna demonstrate that. So we can use our keyboard. So this I'm gonna show how you can do it for drum loops, but also for keyboard loops and bass loops. Because today I really want us to focus primarily on drums and bass, which is like the critical kind of backbone to our song. So if I go in here, and obviously I see a lot of people have been working on their songs, which is awesome. If I click on Enter Studio, it'll bring me to the Soundtrap Studio. And it'll load forever. It'll be nice and slow for everyone, which is, I know, everyone's favorite part of doing these online classes. Okay. I don't know what my last Untitled, okay, we'll recover it. I don't know what I was working on, but we'll just bring it back. Okay. Uh-oh. Well, that's okay. So I think last week I was showing you guys how to layer these different beats, remember down at the bottom, this is your tempo. So if you want to make it faster or slower, that will adjust your loop so that they fit the new beat. So make sure you put that, you set that the way you want it. Let's listen to what I created so far. All right, so I was messing around. So now, let's say I want to create my own drum track here. So I want to add my own drums. So remember, on the right-hand side, these are my loops. Okay, so if I want to search for a loop, I can do that. I can press the X to bring me back to the main menu, and then I can select drums and say, okay, cool, I really like, no, I don't like that. I don't really like that either. But I could decide that I have some different sounds here that I do like. And it'll tell you which part of the drums it's focusing on. It'll tell you, if it's like a Latin beat, basic verse. So let's say, maybe I don't want to use that one. I want to use my own beat, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'll go back to the beginning. I'll press Add New Track. And then I'll select drum and beats. And now I have two different ways that I can do this. So this one is a patterns drum beat. I don't know what they call it, like a drum maker. So this would be, you have your kick, your snare, and your hi-hat. So generally, if you play drums, the kick drum, that's like the big heavy sound. The snare is a sound. You have the hi-hat that's like the cymbal, like tick, 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 tick. But you can add other sounds too. You can say, okay, I want to add like the crash or the ride. If you play drums, you might know what these words are. If you don't, you could just experiment with them. You know, the tom, right? So what I could do is I could say, okay, on the 1 and the 3, I want a kick. And I can click, you know, because each of these is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could say, I just want it on the 1s and 3s. So now if I press play, so I don't like that, right? So it's like, okay, where do I want the snare to be? Maybe the snare's here. I don't know, let's play with it. No, that's pretty whack, right? But I could mess around and do some different versions of this, right? So you can mess around with it that way, or you can click over to instrument, and then you actually have a drum set. It's amazing. And this is the way that I prefer to do it. So I'll do like, okay, D is my snare. So you can literally tap it out with your fingers if you can keep the rhythm. And then you have, you know, right? And then, so maybe I'm gonna use A, D, and 8. So I'm gonna put my fingers on the keyboard, and then when I'm ready to go to the beginning, press record, okay? Oh wait, I forgot that it's in this little loop. So I wanna X out of this, adjust the input area. So I wanna make this longer. I don't want it to just loop the first part over and over again. So I got rid of that purple bar and extended this. So now we'll press record again. All right, and now it's starting to like clash with my other loop that I bought in, so maybe I want to edit that. So now what I can do, I can either decide to keep these or move these around for a little while, and now I can actually double click on my piano roll, okay? So this is the way that you can actually edit your handmade drum loop. So if you zoom in, which you have your zoom tools over here, you can now click and adjust any of those notes. So if I press play at the beginning, maybe I just want to keep that part of the loop, and I can copy and paste it. I can click and drag and I can copy and paste it. Or let's say I like this part of the loop. So now can you see how my beats are a little off beat? So I can actually move my beats over and again, zoom in because you can see with more detail where the beats are supposed to go. And I can even manually extend those beats. So it's a really interesting way of trying to play drums, but you can totally do it. And that one I know, okay, that's a little too early now. So, you know, so I'm messing around with it. And this is something that I have literally done like for hours. So it's, and then maybe I need to move that one over because it's a little offbeat. So one thing that I would recommend for creating your own drum loops is find a section of it that you think you did perfectly. And so for example, let's say here. So I think that part I pretty much played perfectly. So if I do Command E, I split the region, so I just have the part that I want, right? So I'm gonna Command E here, and I'm gonna click and delete everything else and line this up with my song. And let's see if it hits the beat. All right, and now I can just loop that. So at the top here, I have the loop option, this little loop icon, and now I can click and extend that as far as I want it to. And now I have my own drum beat. Right? Nothing that crazy, but that's something that now I created myself. And so what I want you guys to focus on for the rest of the time today, because I'm going to give you the rest of the time to work on this, is building your own song using some loops, pre-made loops, and some of your own individual loops. And I want you to focus primarily on bass and drums today, okay? So we have our drums, and then up here, this is the bass, and I can actually also play my own bass. So just like that, we saw before, if you add new track, guitar and bass, okay? And now I can really have fun. I can pump up this reverb, do some really cool stuff. I mean, that's guitar, right? But I could say, I could click on this, choose bass electric, or I could choose bass synth. And I don't know, darker bass. Let's see what that sounds like. That'll be fun. So now, I can mess around with it. So just remember when you're ready to record, so make sure that your cursor is all the way back at the beginning if that's the part that you want to record. And again, you can add in all sorts of weird effects if you want to mess with it, go for it. And when you're ready to record, you just press record. I don't like how that sounds, but I was just messing around with it. So again, you can either double click on it to fix it, or you could just delete it and start over. It's up to you. But that's what I want you guys to do today. I want you to try to experiment with making your own loops and your own your own drum loops and potentially your own bass loops or other synths. If you want to include other synths as well, go for it. And you can also use pre-made loops as well. But today the focus is on that drums and bass combo to kind of try to build the structure of our song. And then next week we'll spend more time on melody and synthesizers and stuff like that. Does anybody have any questions? If you want to delete a whole track, like an entire track, you can totally do that. The way that you do that is just on the left-hand side. This is where all your tracks are. So you have 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner of that, and you can select it and click delete. Okay, and that will take the whole track away. Or you can select the clip itself, you know, by highlighting it and then deleting it. Or Command Z brings it back. Okay, cool. Dylan, I'm really excited. So I think that I know some people have already been working on their songs and want to share them at the end, so we will leave some time for that. If you guys want to share what you've been working on. But for now, go for it. Okay, so let me just refresh and see if maybe I find it now. It should be here. Okay, I have Luke's. I don't know if I see, and I see Taro's. I don't think I see yours yet, Simon and or Kate. So I'm gonna play Luke's real quick, and if you can try to share that with me, that would be great. Or reshare it if it didn't work before. Make sure you're sharing it. So let's listen to Luke's real quick. Here we go. atmospheric buildup. Wow. Okay, I love that. Give it up for Luke. If you notice, Luke, I think that second time that loop plays, I think you need a big, big, big drum sound. Like come back from that with like a boom, ba da ba da. It's just really cool. It's like really sinister, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds, and you want that big release of energy. So I love it. Taro, this is 6 seconds long, but I'm happy to share it. Okay, you shared it a while ago. I will play it. Awesome. Very cool. So also you want to save your projects before you X out of them. So I think usually it'll tell you if you have unsaved changes. But let's see if I can open this.